So I have to say that flaming table was not on my list of things I thought I would see during this episode of Dynamite. Um, yeah, that was interesting.
Well, it was an Atlanta street fight, and they were in hot Atlanta. So I guess fire definitely makes sense. Although they never actually went out onto the street.
No, they never do.
And I'm curious what happened with the thing that Andrade had in his hand during his entrance.
Oh, the knife.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
big giant
yeah, it
knife.
just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, he put it in the bag, carried the bag with him, and then like everything got pulled out of the bag at some point, but the knife never appeared.
Yeah, and then Andrade was the smart one and kept his shirt on until like right before the end of the match, so he didn't lose all of his fire retardant gel on the back on his back, whereas
Yeah.
Cody was just like shredding it the whole time.
Yeah, and like at first, I was like, "Oh, did Cody get a sunburn and like his skin is peeling?" And then commentary mentioned it, and they were like, "Oh, well, it might be a scrape from when he got hit with a garbage can earlier."
Yeah, I
But
thought.
then going back, it's like, nope, that was the flame gel.
Yeah, that was there when he took his jacket off. Like I thought it could have come from they were throwing drinks at each other at the beginning, and then they threw the garbage can, which who knows what was in the this food
Right.
stuff's in the garbage can, so I wouldn't be surprised if something got on them. But no, it was under his jacket. So
But when I first saw it, I was like, oh, maybe that's like ice out of a drink.
yeah, that got
But
stuck to
then it never melted.
him or fell off of him. Um, but overall, I thought this was a pretty solid episode of Dynamite. There were a few interesting spots that we'll definitely be talking about.
Yeah, so can I just ask the question?
Sure.
Rhodes family heel turn confirmed?
I have no idea. They can't be this oblivious at this point. Like, did he turn heel by saying he's not turning heel? Like, was that the whole plan and he is actively working as a heel on purpose? Because if they want to keep him a babyface, the first thing they have to do, give him a normal entrance.
Yeah, I've got so many thoughts, but most of them have to do with things that happened in the match, and I don't want to like just blow it all at the beginning.
Yeah, kind of weird. All right, so let's get into this show here. You're listening to the That's Wrestling podcast. If you're listening to this as a podcast, we do this show live over on Twitch and on YouTube. You can follow the links in the show notes for those channels. Also, follow us on Twitter at That's Wrestling One with the number one. I post the links out there when we're going live as well. And with me tonight, I have Darryl W. Perry. You can follow him at Darryl W. Perry on the Twitter. So, how's it going?
Pretty good, and apologies on being an hour late. I just completely lost track of time.
Did you manage to get snow where you were?
No, there is no snow, but we did get rain.
Oh, we got snow, but it all melted. Like, we've gotten 3 different nights of snow, but they've all melted during the following day. But sometimes it barely makes it to where you are, and sometimes it doesn't. So it looks like it didn't.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep, it did not this time.
all right, so let's get into talking about the show here. They kicked it off. Hangman was out on commentary. We weren't sure if he was going to be replacing for the whole night, but we ended up finding basically is a rotating list of people coming out for guest commentary, which later on in the show caused a really weird segment that we'll talk about.
Yeah, there was a really weird segment, and let's sort of explain why there was the need for extra people. It's because JR, I believe, is having some medical issues, and there was another person that was out. So they had Dasha doing the announcing instead of Justin Roberts.
Yeah, JR is out. He's having like 23 consecutive days of radiation therapy for skin cancer.
Yeah, okay. I knew it was a medical issue, but I couldn't remember what.
Yep. And then as far as Justin, basically they just said our thoughts go out to Justin and his family, and that was it. So I don't know the details behind that. And Justin Roberts like never posts on Twitter, and he hasn't posted in like a year.
Yeah, and public people do need privacy.
Yes.
I think a lot of times people forget that. I don't necessarily need or want the details, but just hope that whatever he's going through, he gets through it.
So they kicked off the show with Bryan Danielson versus Allin Angels, number 5 of the Dark Order. It's mentioned that Allin actually graduated high school in the building that they're in.
Yeah, that is actually kind of cool.
Yeah. So we had a very cocky Bryan Danielson to start, taking down Allin quickly, working a single leg. And then it was just a striking battle, back and forth. Bryan gets tons of heat. Angels hits a dive and a moonsault to the floor, a Spanish fly in the middle for 2. Then he missed a top rope moonsault. Bryan hits the Busaiku knee, stomps to the face to a chorus of no, 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 and puts on a knee bar for the tap. And then he keeps holding it well after the bell has rung.
Yeah. One thing that I really liked, obviously it wasn't a big spot in the match, but when Angels had Danielson in the corner and he climbs up onto the second rope and he's, throwing the fist out, and the crowd always counts, 1, 2, 3, 4, and normally people go to 10. Angels stopped after 4 so that they could yell 5 really loud, and then he was done. Just kind of a cutesy little gimmicky thing that had no real point other than he got a nice pop out of it.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because normally everybody gets to 9, they pause, so the crowd goes, "Oh, 10!" And this time he paused at 4. So, I thought this was a fine match. I mean, Bryan Danielson has been having awesome matches, and he's going to have an awesome one here with Allin Angels as well. For some reason, I don't know if he was being facetious or not, but Meltzer was down on how much selling Danielson did. And I couldn't tell if he was being sarcastic or not. It's sometimes hard with Dave.
Yeah, I think that Angels is a little underrated. I don't want to say throw him into the TNT title picture immediately, but if he keeps putting on the type of matches that he has been putting on against, there been the great matches against Omega. This one, I forget who he had a good match with a few weeks ago. But if he keeps this sort of work up, he's got championship written all over him.
Yeah, I mean, he's gone decent times with Omega. I figured he'd have at least an okay shot with Danielson. He didn't beat him, but at least he got in some offense. It wasn't like a total squash, and that comes down to, I think, what we talked about last time. It's like AEW is where you bring in really good people. If people are getting squashed, they need to get thrown out and bring in better competition.
Yeah, and watching him work, even though, again, he lost, but he looked good in defeat.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to see a match between Angels and Danny Garcia.
Yeah, that should be interesting. That would be an interesting match.
They would be able to put on a really good match.
I wouldn't be surprised if it already happened on Dark at some point. Tony goes down to the ring and is talking to Bryan, tells him In 2 weeks, you get your title shot against Hangman at Winter is Coming. And then Bryan says, if it's hard to tell, I'm ready. If that's the best Atlanta's got, I whooped his ass. And not only did I kick his head in, I think I just tore his MCL as well. You guys wouldn't know what that means. Next week, I hear another Dark Order member is from Long Island, and I'm going to stomp their head in too. And then the week after that is Dallas, when I take your title. He's addressing Hangman, who is at the commentary. And then he says, I'm going to prove that you're a one-hit wonder, and it's not cowboy shit, it's coward shit. And then Hangman gets up from commentary, and he starts walking towards the top of the ramp. John Silver runs out and says, yo, you can't touch Bryan. A Cree from Tony Khan. You'll get in trouble. But I can! So Silver runs down to the ring. Bryan bails. And he says Silver is a joke and is beneath him, just like Hangman is beneath him as well.
Yeah, and one thing that I will say about Hangman on commentary is he didn't say a lot, which, sometimes it's good when, the wrestlers that are filling in on commentary sort of know their place and don't try to control the entirety of what's being talked about. But at the same time, there was at least one spot where I think Excalibur tried to serve him up something to where he could respond, and he just didn't say anything at all.
Yeah, that tends to be a Hangman on commentary. It is what it is. Yeah. So we had that match, Winter is Coming, December 15th in Dallas, is going to be the match between Bryan and Hangman.
Yeah, and they also later on mentioned something about the Dynamite Diamond Rumble, but they're doing it in 2 stages this year. I don't recall them doing that previously. Or am I misremembering that?
You might be misremembering it, but I am not 100% sure what you're talking about. I just know that there's going to be a Dynamite Diamond Battle Royale, and that's about it.
Okay, yeah, I thought they had said that the Battle Royal was next week, and then the last 2 people face off at Winter is Coming.
Okay, that's what they've done every year with the Battle Royal. The last 2 then have a singles match the following week.
Oh, okay. I had been misremembering as the last 2 people then have a match immediately.
Oh, no. No, it was. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was always the following week.
Okay.
I think it was always a different match. They've only done 2 of them. I can't remember.
I must be misremembering.
It's okay. Next up, Miro had a promo. He's just on a pure white background. And he's basically saying that his god has
what they call the infinity room.
Yeah,
where there are no seams. It's just plain white as far as you can look.
It's like purgatory.
Yes.
He says that his god has drawn the line. He said he was looking for love, but now he only has fear, and he will embrace that. And that was about it.
This is the word of the Redeemer.
Yes. Next up, we had CM Punk versus Lee Moriarty. When Punk gets down to the ring, MJF's music hits, but he goes to commentary. So then we have the match, lots of back and forth. Lee...
You want to describe what MJF was wearing?
He looked like Hanukkah threw up on a suit.
That's a very good way to describe it, yes.
There was lots of back and forth in this match. Lee got some close near falls. The story continues to be Punk is having a good amount, or taking a good amount of time to beat anybody. Lee reversed a couple of good offensive moves. One was a crossbody. Another was I think it was a sunset flip. But anyways, he rolled through them into pin attempts. Punk eventually hits a roundhouse kick. Lee ducks a Pepsi twist and he hits one of his own on Punk. Hits a boot to the face, hits a double underhook Falcon Arrow for a 2 count. They jostle a little bit. Punk then gets him up on his back, hits the GTS, and gets the win.
And of course, the entire time, whenever Moriarty hits any kind of offense, MJF is, talking about how horrible CM Punk is. This isn't the CM Punk that he used to watch, and like Punk just needs to pack it up and go away and go home.
Yeah, I mean, and Punk looked pretty tired by the end of this match. So continuing into that he isn't the Punk of old, and I'm sure we've kind of felt that. I feel his matches are getting better, so that's a plus.
Yes.
Nowadays, just kind of getting some more of those reps in, and we'll see. When do you think they're actually going to have this match?
I will say. Oh, you know what? I'm wondering now, and I'm totally changing my prediction from a few weeks ago when we did the second anniversary show. But I'm now wondering if they might be the last 2 guys left in the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal.
Yeah, I guess that would facilitate that match happening. Interesting if they did it that way.
Or they could also do it to where Punk and MJF fight the week after or 2 weeks after Winter is Coming.
Yeah.
Like have that be like the main event, set it up to be the main event on whatever the New Year's show. I forget, like the last show before New Year's.
The last show before New Year's, or the show after New Year's, the first one on TBS? Because I would
probably be either.
Yeah, I think putting it the one on the first show on TBS would probably be the better way to go. Because I think they're setting it up so Punk has to go through Wardlow first.
Okay.
So I would think, next week is the Battle Royal, so it's not happening next week. So they could set up Punk Wardlow for Winter is Coming, which then sets up Punk MJF for the first show on TBS. It definitely wouldn't go on for Battle for the Belt, and they can't hold it off until Revolution because that's not until March 5th.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if what did they call the thing last year? New Year's Bash?
Dash, I think. But I don't know. I don't remember what that was.
I thought New Year's Dash was the New Japan show.
Oh, that is the New Japan show.
But yeah, maybe they'll do Punk Wardlow on the 29th and then Punk MJF January 5th.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They could do
Not
that.
sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then
the first of the year is on Saturday, so it's kind of basically Rampage would be New Year's Eve,
right?
So I don't know. They definitely wouldn't do MJF Punk. Well, they could to try to draw a number on New Year's Eve, but I don't think they would.
And then after the match, MJF got up from commentary with a house mic.
So he had the callback lines of calling him PG Punk. Said, you're struggling to beat QT Marshall and Lee Moriarty. And he says that these days you seem to be more interested in getting into Britt Baker's pants. Which I didn't really get the reference to, but apparently
the only thing that I can think of is during Punk's promo last week, during the 20-minute back and forth between Punk and MJF, when Punk mentioned to MJF, you're struggling to beat guys like Darby Allin and haven't even noticed that you got passed over as one of the pillars by Britt Baker.
Yeah, that was mentioned. I believe
praising Britt Baker must be that CM Punk wants to bang her, because why else say anything positive about a woman?
Right.
I guess. And just a note for anybody that's listening and you only hear that, that's not my position. That's just, like I'm trying to think of why MJF would be saying that Punk's trying to get in Baker's pants. Unless he's trying to start a fight between Punk and Adam Cole.
Maybe. I'm sure we'll get that at some point, but I'm not sure. We'll see how that goes. Punk said...
He finished by saying, "You're not CM Punk. You're one pump chump."
Yeah. CM Punk calls out MJF for wearing Larry David's pajamas. He tells him that QT and Lee are both better than he is, and he knows it. And he says, "Come on down to the ring. I'll kick your ass all the way back to Long Island." And MJF says not to worry, that he's going to win the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royale in Long Island, and he's better than Piper in Portland, and I'm going to be better than Brett in Canada, and better than CM Punk in Chicago, and laugh all you want because I'm going to be among the people chanting my name at the top of their lungs. And then he threatens Larry the dog.
Yeah, he threatened Larry the dog, and then he also said that Punk needs him more than he needs Punk.
And then, so them fighting words when you say you're going to kill your enemy's dog. So CM Punk starts running up the ramp, but Wardlow steps in between MJF and CM Punk, and I think there was a ref there kind of holding Punk back as well. Was it a ref?
Yeah, I think one or two refs came out from the face tunnel.
Yeah.
To sort of like keep them apart.
Yeah. For a moment there, I thought that Wardlow was just going to step aside for a second.
Yeah.
I thought
he'd turn around and deck MJF.
Right, or something like that. Because that's just been playing up for a long time now, and it even came out in the match that Wardlow had in a little bit that we're going to talk about in a few moments.
Yeah, but next was that segment that seemed to not make any sense at all, other than to fill some time.
Yeah, there was a short backstage with Tony and Jamie and Britt and Rebel. And basically, Britt told Tony that next week Jamie is fighting Riho, and if there's anything left of Riho, then she can come fight me for the championship.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Next up, Adam Cole came out, does a full entrance, only to walk up to the commentary desk.
Yeah, that seemed like overkill, but. Okay.
And then this is where things got kind of weird, because there's no match scheduled. Orange Cassidy's music hits. He walks out to the top of the ramp, and then he turns to look at Cole over on commentary. So Cole gets off of commentary, walks over to Orange Cassidy, and while they're jibber-jabbering, the Bucks sneak out behind Orange Cassidy, but Orange Cassidy turns around.
Cassidy put his hands in his pockets in front of Cole, which he wasn't able to do during their match a couple weeks ago.
Yes. Orange Cassidy turns around because he caught the Bucks being there, but then Adam Cole gives Orange Cassidy a low blow, and then while he's on his knees, the Bucks give him the weak kicks that Orange Cassidy does, and then ending with a super kick party on the knees. And then right before they can hit the super click BTE trigger, Chuck and Wheeler run out with some chairs to make the save. And that was basically
it. They didn't really make the save, though.
Well, the Bucks and Adam Cole ran away.
They were a little late for the save. But they prevented Cassidy from getting the super BTE trigger.
Yes. That was about all they saved him from, though.
And then the super click goes away.
Mm-hmm. So
and Adam Cole never was on commentary.
Exactly. So what the hell was Adam Cole coming out to do? What the hell was Orange Cassidy coming out to do? I have no idea what was supposed to happen, other than there's obviously setting up a match between Orange Cassidy and Cole as a singles match. But this just felt like they had zero ideas on how to get there. And this was this was a horrible idea to get there.
We've got like 3 minutes to fill. Or actually 5, because Adam's entrance took like 2 of those minutes.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
Yeah, it seemed very odd to me and made no sense. I'm a little confused.
Yeah.
Like, if it was anybody else from Best Friends that came out, I would say maybe they were coming out to cut a promo.
Or pick a fight with Cole specifically.
But we know that Orange Cassidy doesn't talk a lot.
Right.
So, like, he wasn't going to cut a promo.
All right. Next up, they had what was basically a Tony Nese, Sammy Guevara recap video. There was a few extra words added from Tony, but I don't know. I was hoping Tony would kind of reinvent a little, but this kind of feels like same old Tony.
There's also too many guys named Tony.
There are too many. Nese. Too many. Nese is just not doing it for me right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good wrestler and everything, but he has like no personality.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Next up, we had Wardlow against AC Adams. Wardlow gives him a shit ton of power bombs and gets the win. And then the
Powerbomb City.
Yes, Powerbomb City. Spears comes in and starts beating AC Adams down some more with a chair. And Wardlow is looking kind of annoyed when this is going on. And Spears then holds up Wardlow's hand enthusiastically. And Wardlow's still looking a little bit annoyed.
Yeah. Was Spears eating food? I didn't notice.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Should probably go back and look. He probably was, and we weren't paying attention.
Probably had a protein bar during the match.
Yeah, or an apple. I've seen him eat a few random things at this point. It's not the same thing every time. Next up, we had Shivani was with Penta and Pac. They basically said that Phoenix can't travel, so it's not going to be the Lucha Bros versus FTR at Rampage. It's actually going to be Pac and Penta versus FTR, not for the titles, not for the tag titles. And it's also going to be a one falls match, so no 2 out of 3 falls. Then Penta says they wanted to beat FTR again, but since they caused Phoenix to not be able to compete, they found their best ally. Blah, blah, blah. That was about it. Pac has a eye patch on, selling the black mist to the face. I mean, that pretty much covered it, right?
Yeah, and Tony Schiavone asked him, like, how are you going to compete being blinded in one eye? And he was like, I've still got one good eye.
Yep.
And then, like, he pointed at his eye for a ridiculously long amount of time, and then was like, look in my eye. And I was totally expecting him to finish by saying, what do you see? But he didn't.
He didn't.
He was still pointing at his eye and staring at the camera.
As far as Phoenix goes, he is not injured. He legitimately had travel issues and couldn't make it to the show. So the match for Triple Mania still on for Saturday.
Yeah, I noticed that the match for Triple Mania was still on, but I didn't know if, like, they just hadn't updated something or if he legitimately had a travel issue.
No, sounds like legitimate travel issue.
Okay.
So I'm guessing he got stuck in Mexico or something. Next up we had Gun Club, Colton and Billy versus Sting and Darby Allin. Interesting match, and
Sting's first match in Atlanta in 14 years.
And then Tony's like, "All right, I'm done for the night."
Yeah, I really liked that Sting and Darby had matching face paint,
Yeah.
and Darby's entire face was painted instead of only half of it.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet face paint. It was very Day of the Dead face paint, and like they're normally Sting just does the white paint on the face, but then he did all the exposed around like his temples and his entire neck black. So it was pretty awesome.
And they also had you mentioned Day of the Dead, but like on the lip region, they had like the little teeth painted in, which is I think a really good touch when you're doing that skeleton face sort of look.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like a Wes Borland type of paint job. If anybody knows what
when you said that, I was thinking, is that Sting's son? Because I know that Sting's name is Steve Borland, and he has a son, but no, Wes Borland is not Steve Borden's kid.
Yeah. Different last names. Isn't Sting Steve Borden?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and not Wes Borland.
I was totally wrong.
All right. So
too many head injuries.
Yeah. This match started off with Darby and Colton, but then both Sting and Billy.
Don't forget that like half of Team Taz was out on commentary.
Basically all of Team Taz was out on commentary.
No,
I know it was Hook and Hobbs, and Taz was on commentary.
Right. So they were missing Starks and Dante.
Yeah. Sting and Billy eventually get tagged in. Sting is actually shorter than Billy. Sting hits an atomic drop, goes for a stinger splash in the corner. Billy bails. He gets a "You Still Got It" chant. We go back to Darby and Colton. Billy catches Darby doing a coffin splash and hits him with like it was basically a big Uranagi, but not exactly. Heat on Darby for a while. Darby is bleeding from the top of the head. I'm not sure what happened. I think it was legitimately Colton's chin that busted him open on the top of the head.
Yeah, I don't know what caused him to get cut open, but yeah, they showed it was on the top of his head. So like it's not a thing of he rolled out of the ring and did a blade job. Like you're not blading yourself on the top of your scalp.
Yeah, I don't remember. I didn't go back and look, but I think he did a chin breaker. So I think legitimately Colton's chin cut him open on the top of the head.
Yeah, that's very, very possible.
They get a hot tag to Sting. Stinger splashes on both Billy and Colton. Spinebuster to Colton. He puts on the Scorpion Deathlock in the middle. But then Billy pulls the ref. Austin comes in, punches Sting in the face behind the ref's back. Darby then does a dive on Austin, which he basically folded over like a crumpled piece of paper, like landing right on top of his head, like his head was tucked under his chest. Billy hits the Famouser. Sting kicks out at 2. Darby then runs through the ring, hits a dive on Billy, hits a stunner on Colton. Sting hits the death drop on Colton and pins him for the victory.
Yeah, that is not how I expected this to play out. Especially considering that they were touting Colton in his first year with the company as 35-0. Like he just celebrated his 1 year with the company. I was thinking, all right, that they'll either have Darby take the pin or Billy. That way Colton can, either get the win or, well, Colton is still undefeated. Yeah, his team lost, but Colton still hasn't been beaten. But nope, that is not how they did it. And of course, the old guy that doesn't need the win is the one that got the 1, 2, 3.
I don't think there would have been a ton of stock in Colton staying undefeated anyways. It's not like they're going to push him to the top.
Yeah,
So
they're not gonna push him, but still, like, do something with him.
they could have used it to get more heat, I guess.
Yeah,
And then Darby just could have beat him in a singles match or something.
right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I like how
build up to it. Have all of these guys in the Battle Royal next week, and like, let Darby take out Colton then. But yeah, and after this match, Taz apparently had a little bit of what Scott Steiner has been drinking and did some Scott Steiner math about the Battle Royal, saying Team Taz will be making up 25% of the members in the Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal, which gives us a 125% chance of winning.
yes. And then Lio Rush comes out. And the crowd was confused as all hell because they haven't heard anything that Taz has been saying on commentary. So what Lio had to say made no sense to them. So they were dead for this promo for quite a while until, Lio got a little bit of enthusiasm in him. But basically, Leo's like, okay, Taz, you're a commentator, but you're overlooking me. You should know what I'm about, and I've always been fighting against the odds, and your team's not going to win the Diamond Battle Royale, because I'm going to. And
he also threw in the math thing. He was like, if you're saying that Team Taz has a 100% chance of winning, which isn't what Taz said. He said they have a 125% chance.
Right.
But if your team has a 100% chance of winning, that means I've got 0% chance. And that's not how things work. And he's right. Like, he's statistically got a 12.5% chance of winning, but then you subtract that from Team Taz's 125% chance, and he's got a negative 112.5% chance of winning, and Team Taz still has 112.5%.
Yeah, this was another. I mean, this was a lot of promos set up by the person who was sitting on commentary.
Yeah. And I
was
guess,
every match.
I guess part of why they did that was, like, all right, well, let's figure out a way to work this person into giving a promo or setting up a promo without having them come out just to do the promo. But at the same time, like, the live audience doesn't hear commentary.
Yeah. So this promo just was dead. It was kind of sad.
Yeah. Like, at least when Hangman was on commentary, he got up, as did MJF. Like, they got up from commentary with a house mic to start saying something.
Yeah.
Instead of just, like, delivering the setup for the promo completely on commentary.
Yeah. So this promo just did not fly. Dante, Leo starts stepping towards Team Taz, and then Dante and Ricky Starks come out and kind of square up to him. And that was about it.
Yeah.
Actually, I skipped a segment. Jericho was with Alex Marvez. He's just talking about 2.0, basically that they're being little bitches. Then he gets jumped by all three of them.
Oh, right. I forgot that this segment happened in the middle of the other thing.
Yeah.
And I say in the middle because, like, Taz gave his setup, and then they went backstage, and then they came out, and Lio Rush came out to call Taz out on what Taz said.
Then they announced Jericho won't be able to commentate on Rampage as well after the beatdown. I'm assuming they taped this last week because Jericho's actually in Europe.
Okay.
Yep. Uh,
And I'm still wondering, because Jericho's got 4 other dudes that he hangs out with. One of them being the TNT champion, who's already, sort of like engaged in different things at the moment. So like having Jericho, Sammy, and then Hager fight 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. And I know they've not announced a match, but like, Jericho's got guys that he can call in to even the odds. So I'm assuming at some point we'll have Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz against 2.0 and Daniel Garcia.
Yes. Next up, we had Jade and Mark. They're doing a promo. Says, Rosa, you think you have a chance against the uncrowned Rookie of the Year? And they say that Jade has a match with one of Rosa's students on Rampage. Rosa comes in and says that she'll be at the commentary desk for that one, and that was pretty much it. And then yelled at her in Spanish a bit.
Yes, I love when Thunder Rosa yells at people in Spanish.
I think it's really funny when they have to bleep her out because she dropped something that they still have to censor on TV.
Yeah, because like they don't want American kids learning foreign swear words.
Then we had Kris Statlander versus Ruby Soho, TBS title tournament.
Galaxy's greatest alien.
Yes. And so this is the is this the semifinals?
No, this was the final quarterfinal match.
Final quarterfinal. Really?
So yes. This
because
fights Nyla.
Yeah. All right. This match was actually really good, but the crowd was dead for it, and I don't know why. They started out with some grappling, lots of back and forth, lots of reversals from each other. It was a solid match. There was a lot of whatever you can do, I can do back. In this match, there was which I like is a great story. Kris would do one move, Ruby would do it back to her. Ruby would do a move, Kris would do it back to her. Top rope senton from Ruby for 2. It's a thrust kick for 2. We get a blue thunderbomb from Statlander for 2. Ruby escapes the spider crab, but then gets hit with a buckle bomb and a falcon arrow for a 2 count. We get running elbows from Statlander, back elbows from Ruby. Thrust kick and forearm. Statlander blocks the pull into the turnbuckle, but then Ruby hits a poison Rana and then a spike Rana to Statlander while she was on her knees for a 2 count. And Ruby is like, how the hell did she kick out of that? Statlander blocks the no future, and Statlander goes for the Big Bang Theory, but Ruby rolls through and gets the pin.
Yeah. And I had forgotten that Taz was still on commentary during this. And he was just like normal commentary Taz. He wasn't, Team Taz. And I realized that, like, that just sounds weird, but that there's, slight differences in how he presents himself when he's just normal commentary Taz.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, this is a good match. It was a solid match, and the crowd was just dead for it, which I'm not really. They came alive right at the end, but
yeah. The only thing that I can think of is they may have just like been coming back from bathroom breaks because there were the 2 talking segments immediately preceding. Probably also a commercial break. So yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that there were also a few times, in addition to the, oh, you can do it, I'll do it too. Both Ruby and Kris found unique ways to get out of moves.
Mm-hmm.
Where Kris wound up walking on her hands at one point instead of, like Ruby thought she did something that flipped Kris over, and she's like, nope, I'm just gonna walk across the ring on my hands.
So we have Ruby moving on. She's going to face Nyla. So when Statlander is leaving, she encounters Vicky up on the top of the stage. So she's talking to Vicky, and in from behind, Nyla attacks Ruby, and Statlander runs down to help, but Nyla bails before she even gets there.
Oh, and before that happened, there was also the show of respect where Ruby and Statlander shook hands, gave each other a hug.
Yeah.
Which is always good to see.
Yeah.
Especially when you have, a match between two people that are both faces.
Mm-hmm. They run down the card for Rampage tomorrow night. It's going to be Sammy Guevara versus Tony Nese for the TNT Championship. FTR versus Penta and Pac. And Jade is in action. And then the matches that we have so far for Dynamite.
I forget the name of who it was.
Me too.
That Jade is facing.
Me too. I forgot.
I'll see if I can find it.
All right. And for Dynamite, they're going to have the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royale. We've got Jamie Hayter versus Riho and Bryan Danielson versus John Silver. I'm guessing we'll get a couple more matches announced tomorrow night on Rampage. And then we also have 2 weeks from yesterday, Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Championship.
Janai K.
Yes, there you go.
And last name is spelled Kai. So maybe it's Kai.
Could be Kai.
Might be Janai Kai.
Probably Kai. Then we had the bonkers match of the evening.
They wound up giving more time than I thought.
Yes.
Because my thinking was, when they come back from this commercial break, they'll probably do a talk segment and then do the entrances. And the entrances will probably last, like 5 minutes total. They'll have like a 15-minute match, but no, they had like a 25-minute match.
So Andrade El Idolo versus Cody Rhodes in an Atlanta street fight. And Andrade runs up and attacks Cody on the stage. Cody is getting very mixed reaction. Jose starts going after Arn. Arn falls off the stage on accident, but he fell onto that tier down, so he didn't fall all the way to the floor, but he fell down. So Jose is supposed to be beating him up, but he is helping Arn up out of the kind of the little tier well that he fell into.
I thought that's what I saw, but then I was like, oh no, that must be like an official that's helping Arn get up from the top of those lights.
No, it's definitely Jose.
Okay.
So they fight to the back. Jose and Arn do. Cody and Andrade fight out into the crowd. Andrade turns... they fight into the crowd. They're throwing drinks at each other, trash canning each other. When Cody takes his jacket off, he has all this stuff on his back, which we've already talked about, which was probably fire retardant gel. Did not do his job. Spoiler alert. Andrade turns the ring stairs over, so it's the sharp edges, and drops Cody on the edge face first. I could have sworn this is the spot that Cody would have bladed, because that would have made the most sense.
Yeah.
But he didn't. Cody gets a chair from T-Pain, who is sitting in the front row. Gives Andrade a couple shots with it. Cody looks like he's going to throw the weight belt out into the crowd. Andrade hits him with a low blow, grabs the belt, starts whipping him with it, and then he throws it out into the crowd. There's some chance of throw it back, but whoever got it did not throw it back.
And then got booed.
For it. Andrade, he brought, actually, when he was coming down, he had a bag, and he had this giant, it looked like a tobacco stock cutting knife. It was like a little machete type of thing.
Possibly a kukri.
Yeah. So he brings down this bag. Out of the bag, he pulls a laptop out and hits Cody with it. He then hits him with a chair, We get some plunder thrown into the ring. Andrade teases a table, but then pushes it back under the ring to a "We want tables" chant. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. Andrade hits a split leg moonsault onto Cody on a chair for a 2 count. Cody kicks Andrade right in the balls. Gets a big boo out of that one. Jose and Arn fight back out and then back to back. Andrade punches Cody with a chain. They throw chairs at each other. This is where Cody finally gigs. Andrade exposes the floor. He wants to hit the shadow, but he ends up getting backdropped on the exposed floor. Cody pulls out a kendo stick from under the ring and then tosses it aside. Then he pulls out a sledgehammer from under the ring. He tosses it aside. And then he pulls out a golden shovel, and Jose runs down with a taser, but he gets whacked with the shovel, and Jose is jacked.
Yeah. Like, I'm curious, like, you know, how Jose lost most of his shirt, because I think he still had, like, part of it. And it's like,
Arn,
all right.
Arn ripped it.
It's like, you know, Jose went and just got jacked while he was fighting Arn, apparently. And, like, before you saw what Jose had, commentary's like, what's that noise we hear off to our left or whatever? And then, you know, like, they mentioned, I think they had mentioned, like, you know, that's a taser before you see him running with the taser.
Yep. Andrade then does a crossbody off the top to the floor. Andrade then in the ring sets up Cody with a chair in front of his face and hits a double knees into the chair into Cody's face, which was brutal. Only gets a 2 count. Andrade sets up a table in the corner. Cody gets hip tossed through it. Another table gets set up.
Both tables, the back legs fell down and got caught on the middle rope. And I think it was Taz on commentary mentioned, like, you've got to flip those things upside down before you put them in the ring.
Yeah. It gets set up over by a corner. They start fighting up on the top rope. And then somebody runs out through the crowd. It's Brandy in a hood. She then pours lighter fluid all over the table, sets it on fire. Cody hits a reverse suplex off the top through the flaming table, rolls over Andrade, and pins him for the victory while little bits of fire are on both dudes.
Yeah, like, Cody literally was on fire when he pinned Andrade.
Yes.
And if you look, like, I noticed that, like, the top layer of the table sort of, like, peeled off, and, like, that's what was on him.
Yeah, like the fake plastic veneer that they put, like the paint on veneer that they put on top just, like, burned away.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what was stuck to him.
Yeah. The image, though, of, like, the flaming table, and then it zoomed out, and then, you know, what was it? The reverse suplex thing, that, and then Cody took, like, the entirety of the table.
Yes.
Andrade, I don't even know if Andrade touched the table.
I don't think he did. His knees landed on the canvas, so I don't think any of them hit the table. What ended up falling onto Andrade is a piece of what was stuck to Cody fell onto Andrade's chest while he's getting pinned. So he's trying to get his arm out from under Cody so he can brush off the flame off of his chest.
Yeah. And then AEW did tweet out a picture of Cody's back, and, like, even with that burn gel that he had, he got, I would say, probably some first degree burns on part of his back.
Oh, I'd say that's second, because he lost the first layer, so that would be second.
Okay. I always forget where the line of second degree comes in, but yeah, like, he definitely got burned. But I'm curious, like, is this Rhodes family heel turn, or at least Cody and Brandi heel turn confirmed? Or do they mark it up to Brandi and Cody just doing what needs to be done to get the win, and Arn toughened them up by, telling him to get the Glock?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where this is going. Again, we're still... I don't know. I don't... I hope they know what they're doing. I hope this isn't just stubborn booking, and this is actually their plan, or they've shifted and is now making it their plan. Because they could salvage Cody if they wanted to. It wouldn't be that hard. Or they could easily turn him heel. And if they are going to turn him heel, this type of heel is the way you keep him heel. Because if he just turned into an asshole and just started beating the crap out of guys, then the crowd would suddenly like him again. So I think he has to be this kind of self-absorbed, whiny, over-the-top type of heel to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, so, is he a heel that doesn't know he's a heel?
Right.
Is that what they're going for?
Yeah, that'd actually be a good... That is a good heel. I like those type of heels, that the heel thinks they're actually doing the right thing, and they're not actually the heel, but when in actuality they are. They don't think they're a heel, but in actuality they are.
Yeah. And, we're still not sure if Danielson is, going heel permanently or just until his title match. I guess we'll find that out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or we'll find that out in 3 weeks, because we'll find out the week after the match.
Yeah. Unless, after he gets beat by Hangman, he gives him a handshake or something.
Possibly.
Yeah. So yeah, that was it. That was not Rampage. That was Dynamite for this week. I thought it was a pretty good show. The fight feed had some issues during the Andrade Cody Rhodes match, but the replay was fixed that I watched this afternoon. So it was
good.
Yep.
I was able to jump onto the TNT stream until Fight came back. Luckily, I kept the Fight feed open in another tab, and when I started hearing 2 sets of voices saying completely different things, I was like, oh, the Fight feed is back. All right, let me flip over there.
Yeah, so we had color bars for quite some time. So Darryl was narrating what was going on before until it came back.
Yeah. Luckily, a good bit of what we saw color bars for was picture-in-picture.
Mm-hmm.
So not a lot happened, but there was some fighting on the apron, and you thought Cody was going to wind up, getting the upper hand, and Andrade pulled off a move, and then both guys were down.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, all right, here's a rest segment, but we're not putting you in rest holds.
Right.
So, it makes sense to sort of be, rolling around and crawling for 15 seconds while the ref does a very, very slow 10 count.
Yep. I wish they just adopted the 20 count at a normal speed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Instead of, you okay? You okay? You okay? 1.
You okay?
You okay? 2.
It is what it is. No biggie.
Yeah, no biggie. And I did notice a couple of times over the last couple of weeks that you could still vaguely hear some of the house audio time calls, but they're still not clear enough to where you can actually make them out.
Yeah, they need to. Yeah, that's definitely something they need to work on. Oh man, yeah. I just saw Clark Connors tested positive for COVID-19. That's not good.
Who?
Clark Connors. He's a young lion.
Okay.
In the LA dojo.
Okay.
So hopefully everybody else in the dojo is okay.
Hopefully.
All right.
So now that we're down to the final 4 in the TBS tournament,
mm-hmm.
how long are they going to take to have those last two matches? Will they have either of them, or no? They're going to have the women's title match at Winter is Coming.
Yep.
They tend to not have more than one women's match on a show, so I'm guessing 22nd and 29th will be the semis, and then the winner gets determined on that first TBS show.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and I just wish that they would like give us a time frame, because like they never said like how long these this tournament was going to last.
Yeah. I mean, I think
And
tomorrow,
they just keep, like, announcing like every now and then, oh, there's this match in the tournament happening at the next show.
I think tomorrow we'll kind of get more of a clue on Rampage, because obviously we still got a couple more matches for Dynamite to be announced. So,
and
oh no, Jamie and Riho is next week anyway. So that's the
Jamie Riho is next week on.
Okay, so yeah,
Dynamite.
yeah, it is going to be the 22nd, 29th, and then the finals on the 5th.
Yeah, unless they wind up throwing a show on, or a match on
Rampage.
One of the Rampage.
Yeah, that's also a possibility.
But I'm thinking on that New Year's Eve Rampage, they probably want to have a huge match. Like, you know, I don't want to say Hangman having a world title match, but like you want like one of your top drawing guys. Like you want Punk or Danielson in like a blood feud match.
Yeah, I mean these are going to be the two worst Rampages ever as far as viewership, because we have one on Christmas Eve.
Right.
No one's going to watch that. And then we have one on New Year's Eve. Again, two of the nights people are definitely not watching TV.
Right. And I hope, and thus far, AEW has been good about not doing super gimmicky things for holidays. And
they don't phone it in. They still continue on like the holiday isn't there. So they don't phone in the shows. So I'm expecting still good shows. I'm just saying,
like, I hope that they don't have like a, North Pole or North Flag on a pole match or something stupid. Santa Claus versus the Grinch.
Right.
Where, like somebody represents, Mark Henry plays Santa Claus because he did that several times on WWE. And then have somebody else like dress all in green and be the Grinch. Hell, if you're going to do that, just have Kane wear his old SWA. What was it? SWA? Where he was the Christmas creature and he looked like a 7-foot tall Christmas tree. Like, just have that. But no, like, yeah, AEW doesn't do the gimmicky holiday stuff. Like, they had the Friendsgiving segment backstage before Thanksgiving, but they didn't do like a match where there's all sorts of pies laid around the ring.
Mm-hmm. Probably not. All right, I think that's it. You got anything else on AEW you want to discuss?
No.
All right, cool. So we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks for listening and watching to the That's Wrestling podcast. If you're listening to this as a podcast, we do this show live over on Twitch and on YouTube, so you can follow the links in the show notes to those channels. And also follow us on Twitter at That's Wrestling 1 with the number 1. I post the links out when we're going live for over there as well. And you can follow us, or you can join us on our Discord. Link is in the show notes. And you can follow Darryl at Darryl W. Perry on the Twitter. So, for Darryl W. Perry, my name's Eric LaRoche. You've been watching and listening to That's Wrestling. See you later, guys.